Hello,
Hello.
hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Y'all come on in the room, people. Come on in the room. Okay. Welcome to the Laverne Spicer Hood Conservative Podcast. Um, where we just talk about everything that's going on with my co-host Travian QT is here. And hello to everyone I see, Steph, Andrew and Jerome in the house.
Yep.
And
Yes.
we ready to talk politics and to talk about the latest and everything else that's going on on this political edge today. So how y'all doing?
Amazing.
Yes.
All right.
Fabulous. Doing good. Doing good. Let's roll.
Yes. Happy Friday Eve to everybody.
It's Thursday.
Yeah. Friday. Well, like Christmas Eve, Friday Eve kind of thing.
Oh, Friday Eve. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You guys know what
But
day it is?
anyway, we're gonna move right on. And I know Steph was interested in sharing with you guys some things that's going on in Texas with Sheldon Jones. Race.
Daniels.
Oh yeah,
Golden Daniels.
Sheldon Daniels. Corrected. Okay, go ahead.
I will say I don't know exactly how he's been targeted, but I can give you the sentiment around Dallas for the people who voted liberal and are really regretting their votes. The sentiment in this area is that we're abandoned pretty much. Like the police calls are getting out of whack. There's constant barrage of shootings that happen every night that you can just hear out my window. It's absolutely absurd, and they are even the neighbors are attributing it to that was one of the biggest mistakes they made, and they're regretful. So I think it's really imperative that as Dallas community, we really work to get his name out there because nobody likes Ratchet. That's in it right now.
Be correct.
You don't want to hear my nickname for her because it's not very nice.
Yes, we do. We want to
Oh
hear.
no, we actually do.
We want to hear.
Jasmine Ratchet Crotch.
Oh yeah, Ratchet. Oh yeah, it's just Ratchet.
Ratchet Crotch.
Well,
You got to
what's
get it right.
funny-
Like
Ratchet crotch.
Well, she's from my city, St. Louis. And what's so ironic about that to me is she went to the rich private school and grew up in the rich neighborhood. So like it's an act, like everything she does, and like you could see through it. That's what's hilarious.
oh yeah, I show people the videos, like the comparison of what she talked like before and what she talks like now, and they all say the same thing. She's smiling in my face and doing the opposite behind the back. And everyone I feel like is kind of also a little tired of it's always Trump's fault for everything. Like there's people are moving towards accountability these days. And when you're not willing to accept any lick of responsibility, you lose your credibility. So
As ghetto as Jasmine is, I don't think she gives a damn about accountability because she's ratchet as hell, ghetto as fuck, and she really doesn't give a shit what she say. She don't give a fuck about how dumb it sound. She just go and make up some shit and look for people to co-sign with her on her bullshit. So, I think people are sick and tired of her ass, her ratchet ass. She sit up in Congress and, just spills all kind of obnoxious bullshit and don't nobody say a damn thing. And the thing is that that's why the GOP need to really level up. Hey, Amarosa, we see you. We see you in the house. Y'all leave us some comments in that section and let us know y'all are up here. Amarosa, you need to join us one day, girl.
Yeah.
Join us. So, the thing is that she just sit there and said the dumbest shit. Don't nobody even correct her or give a fuck. And that's why we need more people that look like us in Congress on that conservative shit. We just need one motherfucker in Congress that look like us on the goddamn
Just
conservative
one.
ticket. Just one motherfucker right now. Shit, y'all put me in that shit. I'll take care of that. I can match her energy all damn day.
but you know who was in GOP? Rest in peace, Mia Love. She handled it for the GOP back in the day. Thank goodness.
Yeah. And I always say rest in peace because she recently passed.
Yeah.
Hey Nora, hey Nora, yeah, we got some Texas girls up there. So yeah, Nora, we talk about ratchet ass Jasmine Crockett, Rocket Socket Crockett. That's what we talking about.
I mean, we all know she's a fraud, though. I mean, for all of us that know, she's a fraud because she tries too hard to be ghetto, right? She tries too hard to fit in, and because she is a rich white girl, basically, rich white girl in black skin, because that's the way she grew up. Her parents got money, she had money. Everything she did was in private school, so she's getting paid. She got selected to sit in that seat, to replace I forget her name, but the black lady down there, she got moved down there. She got, and she ran unopposed. Let's just be honest. She ran against some liberal, right, that didn't have a chance in hell of winning. And so she basically ran unopposed, and that's how she got in that seat. But that's how a lot of these Democrats get in their seats, because Republicans don't run, candidates against them because they think in certain districts they don't have a chance to win. I mean, but you look at, any of these black congressmen that may be in these, toss-up seats, and they win, because people are tired of the Democrat Party. They're tired of, like, say, the bullshit. They're tired of the Jasmine Crockett. If you want to say they're black fatigued of these people like Jasmine Crockett and Ilhan Omar, and we already got rid of Bowman. We already got rid of Cori Bush. Like I
Y'all
said,
see, they said she
Jasmine
gave her
Crockett
brother an $84 million grant. It's just so amazing how these people can never help people in their district, with funds are never available. But these astronomical figures of these grants that they keep being able to come up with is just unfucking believable. Look at big wide gap in the middle of her teeth, Stacey Abrams. $1 billion grant for that new nonprofit that didn't even have a fucking track record. While you got motherfuckers out here been busting their ass all day motherfucking life, feeding people and helping people with these nonprofits, and can't hardly get fucking $10,000. But they busting their ass and really doing the work. Then here you got a whole new organization, hasn't done a damn thing, and whoop, there it is all of a sudden. So they just let us know how we have been lied to for years, not even to talk about Kamala and her bullshit. That's a whole nother thing altogether. Then you got Ilhan Omar that married her damn brother.
You know what they all have in common? They're all ungrateful.
Very much so. But they come over here and use the taxpayer dollars and just make it rain. They making that motherfucker rain on all their friends and everybody else. But their constituents that voted for them are suffering. A lot of them are suffering and catching hell.
I mean, the reason Ilhan Omar is in because Obama moved all them Somalis into her district.
Of course.
I mean, and I know Travion said, a couple weeks ago, hey, she's playing a role. She's smart. She has the people, she has the backing, and she's doing what she has to do to keep getting elected. And that's why I think we need a constitutional amendment. If you're not natural born citizen with natural born parents and fucking grandparents, as far as I'm concerned, here in the country, then you can't hold office. You can't hold any office, federal, state, local, anything, because you're not your allegiance most likely is not with the United States. You're a dual citizen.
So,
you have to renounce that
too, for sure.
So with that being said, Jerome, could you just move to China, decide that you want to be one of their congressional members or whatever the fuck they call them over there? And
hell no. not in no other country can an American go.
Why should they be allowed to do that
country,
here?
Why
should they be allowed? The girl made it clear when she had the meeting with all those Somalia people. She said, my heart is always, and all my resources and everything else is for Somalia. She made it clear.
And she did say that one day she wanted her and her daughter to go and raise their kids back in Somalia. So I'm like, bitch, leave, go. You can actually go now. You got enough money to go back to Somalia, live like a queen, and raise your kids and grandkids there. So you can leave at any point.
So my next logical question would be, why is she here in the first place if it's so awful? Like, if you just want to move back, like that to me is like, why don't people follow the logical conclusion to that. Like, doesn't that make you think?
And to me,
You
that's
know,
like
because
a
it's not
slap
like
in the
that.
face to this country because our families, our bloodlines work hard as fuck to build this fucking country in the first place. And then you have taxpayers that are paying their funds. So if y'all feel that way about this country and you hate it so much, just get the fuck out. Nobody has a cord connected to your ass with a stalk in the ground that's holding you here. Just get the fuck on. Matter of fact, you already late. You're already late. It should have been gone. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, that's how I feel about that, especially the ones that hate this flag. They hate America. They hate everything that this country represents. They want a Marxist regime. They want a communist government. So take your ass on over there where that shit already exists.
Facts.
Well, her ass can't go back to Somalia because she'll probably be killed. That's the thing. She talked that shit, but she'll never go back to Somalia. She really don't want to go back to Somalia because, she left under persecution from Somalia anyway, her and her family, running from Adid, and we brought that bitch in as a refugee and gave him shelter, and this is how she treats America. This is how she says thank you, So I think she should be expelled from Congress, deported, and sent her ass back home. Seriously.
Quick, fast, in a hurry. Run the first clip. G.
Right?
Run the first clip. Are you there?
G.
Here we go.
No DNA, no fingerprints, missing bullet fragments. Despite those concerns, rapper Tory Lanez, whose legal name is Daystar Peterson, was convicted in connection to the 2020 shooting of fellow artist Megan Thee Stallion in the Hollywood Hills, which left her with injuries to her feet. Tory Lanez was sentenced to 10 years, a full decade behind bars. To this day, Mr. Peterson, Tory Lanez, maintains his innocence, insisting he never fired the gun. Now, new evidence and claims are surfacing, including from a witness whose account contradicts key parts of Megan Thee Stallion's version of events that night and appears to support Tory Lanez's defense.
Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun.
Amid renewed questions about the case, Tory Lanez was stabbed multiple times inside a California prison on Monday, according to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. He's currently recovering in the hospital. Criminal justice reform advocate Diana London, a key figure behind the First Steps Act, publicly criticized the handling of the original case during a press conference in Los Angeles today. She says the case was paper thin and politics thick, alleging that prosecutors inflated weak charges and caved to media pressure. Her warning is if a celebrity can get railroaded, what chance does the average defendant have? London is now calling on Governor Gavin Newsom to consider a pardon for Daystar Peterson and to authorize a full, independent, non-biased review of the case. Let's welcome Diana London.
Tory he did not have a previous criminal record.
So now we have Tory Lanez being railroaded and put in jail. But just 2 days ago, he was stabbed 14 times in jail. 4 in the back, 3 in the torso, 2 in the head, in the face. They really put a hit out on Tory Lanez. And it's coincidental or not that this information was coming to light, which is why people think that Megan Thee Stallion and Jay-Z put a hit on Tory Lanez, because this information was going to be coming public from this witness. And so I always said that Tory Lanez was innocent. Tory Lanez figured out a way to be an independent artist and make millions, which made all of the record labels and the powers of, that be in music very mad. And that had a lot to do with why he was railroaded and put in jail. But they tried to kill Tory Lanez 2 days ago. He was on a breathing machine. Both of his lungs collapsed. He is now breathing on his own. So they tried to take Tory down twice, and he has survived. And hopefully this review of his case will allow him to be released, and he will be able to walk out of those doors and be a free man. Hopefully his health will recover.
Yeah, hopefully shit. Megan Thee Stallion didn't look like her feet were bad when she was twerking for Kamala. You know, when she's up there on all her shows that she do, her feet don't look too bad. Shit, but yeah, I was checking out that case, and I said,
Must
yeah,
have had a quick
brother
recovery.
definitely not. He's not guilty,
Free
but
Tory. That's right,
yeah,
Omarosa.
free Tory,
Free
absolutely.
Tory,
Free
free
Tory.
Tory.
He dropped an album from prison that went to #1. That
wow.
really pissed off
Oh, dang.
the executives. Like, how can this Negro be in jail and still hit #1 on the charts? The name
He
of the
dropped an
album was
NFT
called
album
Peter-
before, right?
I'm sorry?
It was an NFT album he had dropped to cut the labels out before, right?
That was back.
Yeah.
I think that was like 6 years ago. He figured
Yeah.
out how to rig the NFT game and made,
Yeah.
I don't know what, $35-40 million off of a single album, selling it as an NFT. They have all known that Tory Lanez, Daystar Peterson, is a very smart individual. He comes from a family where the father is very present. The father is an activist himself. So Tory had been one of the very few Black rap artists that was able to break through the matrix and not need the labels, teaching other artists how to evade being raped by these record labels as they've been for, since the inception of rap music. So I'm rooting for Tory Lanez. Hopefully he'll get to walk.
Absolutely. And if Gavin Newsom's smart, he'll pardon him. I mean, that may give him some more votes on the Democratic side when he's coming up when he runs for president in 2028. But
When he's a moderate.
Well, he's faking as much as Jasmine Crockett is.
Here's the negative side he's got though. The left only loves to support criminals, and it sounds like he's innocent, so he might not get the pardon.
I don't even know that he needs a pardon. If they do this review of his case,
They do the review, yeah.
Illegitimately charged, then not only will he get to walk, he'll be able to sue. So I think that'll be a defining factor of how they, review and announce the results of the review to the public, because they never want to leave it in a space where Tory gets acquitted and he gets to sue. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, we see, and they have a new DA out there now too. So maybe, like I said, with the review of the case, basically a conservative DA instead of that loser that was out there. I forget the guy's name, but that Hispanic dude. But yeah, so hopefully so.
But we do have a problem with activist judges right now that needs to be resolved. That is of high concern, like all around the board, because you're seeing the persecution just on the highest level. Imagine what's happening as it goes lower, and the injustices that are being done to everyday people. It's really concerning.
Well, we've locked up a couple of judges. Let's see what we do with the rest of them. I want it to go up the chain. I want
Absolutely
to be people like Fannie Willis and Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. Those are the nooses and the chains that I want to see.
Right.
When we keep hitting these, low-level judges, and maybe it's a win of some sort, but we need some major wins. People were incarcerated, indicted, raided by the feds unconstitutionally. Something needs to be done about that. And, our current administration has been very quiet on these situations. I'm thinking, okay, we're coming off the tariff argument and the tariff war, but I can't be mad. He's now gotten, I think, a total of $4 trillion in investments coming out of the Middle East between Qatar, Saudi Arabia, you can't say anything about this man bringing dollars, because these people have to spend this money with the United States and the United States solely. So we've got $600 billion coming out of Saudi Arabia. Today it was announced 1.2 or 1.4 out of Dubai, out of United Arab Emirates, and he's still got, countries to go. So, you got to give it up.
Including Qatar.
Right. And if anybody had seen the standing ovation he received from Saudi Arabia yesterday, it was
that was
Joe Biden
oh my
could
God.
never.
That's what leadership looks like.
That's what real leadership looks
Right.
like.
It was a 33-second standing round of applause. And
Ah.
that is history for an American president to be in the Middle East and receive that type of reception. So I am very proud, that I'm going to try and get me a piece of that 1.4 trillion and
You know,
600
right?
billion. Trust and believe I'm going to be on top of it.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and for all those people, that were, the panicans that were crying about, the stock market and the tariffs and didn't buy the dip, and talking about, well, he's insider trading. Well, he's not insider trading because he said, get ready. He said, go buy, buy
Both
stock because
times.
we're about to, because we're about to explode here. And yeah, for those that don't heed that, and don't, I mean, whatever money you have, I understand a lot of people don't have a lot of money, but whatever money you may have, hey, go ahead and dip it in because I think America here soon is about to explode, definitely. And like you said, I'm gonna be on
And-
that train. Definitely.
And
gonna
there
be
were
on that
also
train.
reports this morning on the news that the prices of eggs is going down, and the
Yes.
prices of food is going down.
Yes.
So
Price of gas, gasoline,
he's only
everything's
been
down.
in
Energy
100
itself.
days, but already we are just seeing the results of great leadership.
Yeah, and also, did you see they actually ended they ended the ceremony with YMCA, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
How classic is that? They opened with his song, they ended with his song. He's respected he's respected around the world. To be honest, and it is, and he was respected in 2026. But when you listen to the liberals, listen to the Dems, you listen to these people, they want you to believe that he's the most hated man in the world. No, he's actually the most loved man in the world. I do believe. I mean,
Respected.
just looking and respected,
Very much
around the
respected.
world, everywhere around the world. Because you know why? Because the world understands strength. The world understands strength. Leaders, alpha
When
men,
Kamala was in that seat,
understand game. Like we said, in the hood, game recognized game. And they recognize the game of President Trump. They recognize the strength of President Trump, and that's what they want to deal with. They don't want to deal with no weak pussies like Biden, and the Democrats and Obama and all these clowns. They don't want to deal with that because they understand that, until the United States is strong, the world is not strong. When the United States is strong, the world is stronger. And that's why he's getting all of these deals from all around the Middle East.
So
we saw those effects also when Kamala was in office because we was the laughing stock of the world. Okay. We was the real laughing stock. We was a big joke to everybody. And a lot of times when she went to meet these people, they didn't even want to shake hands with her. They would just look at her like, can you imagine the people that Biden had in the military? Your nutritional aide with that, with the one look like Mrs. Doubtfire with the long grandma dress on and the ponytail. I mean, we had these people actually representing us, making us look like the laughing stock of the world.
Don't forget the clothing thief.
Yeah, that bald-headed one that used to look like he had on a little party hat, like he get ready to start. It's rain, like he get ready to start singing. It's raining men.
Yeah.
So thank God they're gone.
Yeah. And now on the topic of money and crypto, Andrew, what do we have coming out of the crypto sector this week?
Man, so the crypto market's been pumping like everything else, and I think a lot of people got excited. To be real, I host a trading show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So my crew didn't FOMO in. To be honest, we have some indicators that we're tracking these moves. And a lot of the moves are actually market makers. So like big time players moving the market. And in our opinion, that it was an attempt to make people FOMO in because you saw where Bitcoin stopped at and you've seen most of the market retrace this week. So what I'm looking to do is actually buy the retest down here and ride it up because what we're seeing is a lot of positive news. And we're seeing a lot of money flowing to Bitcoin because of that news, but it's not happening with other coins. So, in my opinion, why we haven't seen the real breakout yet is because the rates haven't been cut. Right. So like we had mentioned tariffs a few minutes ago. when tariffs hit, there was a lot of instability in U.S. markets. You saw a ton of money flow out of U.S. markets, and that money actually flowed into foreign markets. And then what happened is China cut their rates recently. And so then Jerome Powell said, hey, we're not cutting rates. Trump wants us to cut rates. You know, it is what it is. We all know that back and forth there. But what we see now is tariffs are starting to settle, and we can debate whether the U.S. has been the winner. I think we're the winner, but, you know, that's up for debate. And you've seen the markets kind of respond and get that pump. But what's particularly interesting is that money that flowed into foreign markets actually hasn't flowed back into U.S. markets yet. So what I'm expecting is probably around December, when they do the FOMC meeting, that's when we'll first hear about rate cuts start to happen. And that's when we see the blast off that everybody's talking about, that crazy golden bull run. So the upside of that is, you know, you have plenty of time to accumulate solid plays on these dips and add to your bag. The downside is you probably only have about another 6 months to do that max. You know, so there's playing both things. Me, I'm a trader, so I was shorting the top and making money on the way down. But I would say, you know, give it a little bit more time to bleed, and then people can feel comfortable adding their bags and playing the bounce. And then I know of a coin launching today that actually it could be launching in the next 30, 45 minutes that I'll send it here in the space and drop on my X if anybody wants it. It's an AI type token. I think it's going to be kind of cool.
We'll be right on. Make sure you send that to me.
Yeah, definitely put that in the private chat. I want that.
For sure.
Because I'm in. Let's go.
Always great tips from Andrew Sales. Get with him. Watch his podcast. His trading show. It's on X. Lots of stuff. I've definitely learned a lot of things, and we're looking to do some business later in the future. So get with him.
Thank you.
So,
I love coming on
Andrew,
here, man.
But days that, for people that don't know, what days are your podcasts?
So we're on X every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern.
G, run a clip.
Permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
Move down the hallway.
Ben, why are you getting arrested?
Move down the hallway. If you stop, you will be arrested.
Kills poor kids in Gaza by buying bombs and pays for it by kicking kids off Medicaid in the U.S.
Keep going down. Keep going down the hallway.
Ben, how many days have they been starving in Gaza?
What has it been? 75 days by now.
Stop.
Anthony, I need my shoe.
Our program.
Now we're down in the hall right now. Let's go. Everybody. I'm saying, everybody. Stop this. Stop this.
Ben, what are you calling for the Congress and senators to do for Gaza?
Congress and the senators need to ease the siege. They need to let food into Gaza. They need to let food into starving kids.
What did you say in there, man?
I said that Congress is paying to bomb poor kids in Gaza and paying for it by kicking poor kids off Medicaid in the U.S.
Don't let them any closer. Stop. Everybody. Stop. Everybody stop.
So if you didn't know who that was Ben Cohen, the owner of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So it was kind of ironic to hear him as a Jewish man to say, hey, this government is cutting our Medicaid and sending that money over to Israel to make bombs, to bomb kids in Gaza. And actually it was an RFK Jr. Giving, basically he was saying that, look, you shouldn't take your medical advice from me. And then all hell breaks loose with Ben Cohen getting arrested. So I'm interested in seeing how they're going to play down that incident that happened today, because it was definitely some hoopla going on.
But I could agree with him on that issue. You know, I don't like sending money to Israel, but there's not much I see that guy say I can agree with.
Right. This was a rarity, right? You know,
He
and I
sounded
don't
normal on Tucker Carlson on his, like, he was on Tucker Carlson like a week ago or something, and he
Yeah.
seemed like level headed. And then this is just, I don't know, what do you call it? Roller coaster? Emotional roller coaster?
very left, very liberal. So this was something, you know, him being Jewish and who has made, you know, billions off ice cream in this country to you know, to see him, you know, just jump out of the blue at a hearing and say that, I thought that was just really interesting. So I'm interested to see how they plan on shutting this incident down, because it went viral immediately.
When
Let's
he
not
first
forget
got
that they
snatched
virtue
up,
signaled last year. Remember that they were on stolen land, and I don't think they've given that back yet. So maybe they could start there.
when he first got snatched up, I thought it was Bernie
I
Sanders.
thought it was Bernie Sanders too. I had to double
Yeah.
take that shit. I'm like,
What the hell
Bernie,
Bernie
the
doing?
hell?
You know,
That's what I thought.
just come get snatched up. So wow.
Yeah, they snatched his ass up quick too. They're not playing with these people anymore. You know, you sitting in the gallery, you know, at these hearings, you sitting back there. I mean, they need to be snatched up. I mean, you know, if you're gonna sit in there, yeah, I understand you got your signs and you want to say some shit. I mean, but you sitting that close to somebody, you know, I mean, because you saw with RFK, he like jumped out his damn seat, man. He, you know, might want to check his pants, whatever. I mean, because these people are crazy. These liberals are crazy as hell, and you don't know what they're gonna do, you know. And so, you know, they need to vet these people. You know, I know it's hard to vet them, you know, coming through, but yeah, snatch their ass up, put them in cuffs, you know, and take them down and book their ass, you know, arrest them and book them, you know, disturbing the peace or some shit, disturbing a congressional hearing, whatever the charge is going to be. But these people need to start being charged. They need to start being, you know, made examples out of, because it's just ridiculous.
Well, I don't think anybody thought Ben Cohen was going to jump at RFK. So I'm sure he was vetted before they let him in there. I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he was. I mean, you know, everybody know who he is, and you know, right? They didn't think that shit was gonna happen. So, you know, it's like, so he needs to be made an example out of. You know, we got this billionaire Jew, you know, in there, you know, doing some bullshit. So, hey, make an example out of his ass. You know, he has the money to bail himself out. So, but at least make an example out of him.
I think RFK could whoop that ass. So I've seen him throw some plates on the bench.
Might be, right? He might have been ready to, you know, put him up. He was like, who won it? RFK might have been like, who won it?
Oh yeah, he's ready for the smoke, man. He's like,
Right? Oh my God. We got another clip. Take it away, G.
As the crowd whips themselves into a mindless frenzy, the larger shaboons assert their dominance in a display of their aggressiveness. Note the colorful headdresses made from the hair of their vanquished enemies.
So this is the most educated demographic in the country, but this is the behavior. And I'm trying to figure out if they are really educated, because you get a piece of paper definitely does not mean that you are educated. And I was embarrassed when I saw this clip, because it just continues to feed into the dirty black woman stereotype, the animal, you know, mentality. And there was no reason for it. The university allowed it. And
What university was that?
Clark.
Was that Clark down in Atlanta?
Sorry, that was Spelman.
Spelman. Okay, that's what I thought. It had. I saw all women, so I knew it was all women. I just didn't know which one.
Spelman. And it's like, okay, so the administration of this university is going to allow these women to act like this, knowing that this is going to be public. I'm you know, this whole thing about, you know, go ahead and express your blackness and be yourself. Don't let white people tell you what you can and cannot do or how you can and cannot act. This is the result of teaching and guiding these women, young Black women, in this direction. And this is what we got. So as a parent, I probably would have jumped down there and grabbed my child up by the head. Like, what is wrong with you? Act like you have some sense. And this is what the universities are allowing. So it's like, do you really, is college really where we want to send our young adults? Because that's when their mind is, they used to say the mind was the most formidable from kindergarten to 5th grade. Now in your adulthood, your adult years of being, formidable are those years right after high school when you get out on your own. And so when you go to school 5 days a week and you've got 3 different classes that teach you about being Black and proud, but then you turn into that, I'm not as enthusiastic about universities as I once was.
I don't think people are educated anymore. They're degreed.
There you are. They are degreed.
Yeah. For me, I judge your, I think Elon said it before, you're a great judge of intelligence is your ability to predict future events. But I know that's hard, right? But you got to at least have genuine thoughts and opinion. And if all you could do is just spew what somebody else told you to spew or something from a book, man, I don't think you're educated. Anybody can just repeat facts, and that's why people are rewarded for that in school. But what did that teach you? And that's how I grade people's intelligence. I don't care what degrees you got.
At all. Laverne, I think your clips are up.
Okay. G. Yoo-hoo. G. Can you run the clip?
It's my birthday. Get her a little something, right? Well, happy wife, happy life. You know what I'm saying? You got something for me. Uh-oh. It's funny, last time I did this, I was wearing this same shirt and my Uncle Sonny's cufflinks. It's pretty ironic.
I did. Make sure.
There you go.
He flipped it on you, Sam.
It's a flip.
I don't know what's going on. I was trying to be nice. I tried to.
Nah. Just this one. You don't want to. Where it is? It's pretty. Well, it's beautiful. Pretty good for fire, right? At that time, but.
Can I have it?
Yeah. I know everything. That's right. I know everything. I had to see his skinny little pill. I wasn't in. What? I know about all the plain B pills you had to take. You filth. You. That's right. I know everything. Don't act like you don't know. I hate you. I never hated my life, but I hate you. I hate what you did to me, the betrayal. I hate what you did to my children. You know exactly who it was. I don't make me. I know everything.
I don't know.
Everything.
Uncle Benny.
I hate what you did to my children. The life you stole from them. You want me to show them? I'll show them everything. You sure you want that? I don't need to. You know who it is.
Are we sure? What the? Of course he's. We know.
When the guy gets angry or when the guy gets fed up and he's innocent in the situation, it ain't no coming back from.
Well, I think he did that so when he divorces her, she don't get anything. He had to record it because if I was him, that's what I would have done and used that whole video in court. She gets nothing. She doesn't get the house. She doesn't get the kids. She gets nothing. He did it right.
There's one thing she gonna get. The hell on.
Yeah, she is.
She gonna get the hell on.
He did.
Because,
if I was a man, if I was a man and I caught my wife cheating, I would pull a stunt just like that, make it emotional, bust her out, put it on film for the courts. I think men need to protect themselves in this.
They should.
You know what I mean?
They should.
They do.
You know, this is the thing. If you're gonna cheat, right, in today's world, there's cameras everywhere. Why do it in your house? And you see it all the time on social media. Even and I hope I didn't see in this clip, but it was also a man came home, caught his girlfriend or his wife
And
having
kill-
sex in the bed with another man, shot her and filmed it. Shot her right in the head, killed her, and filmed it.
kicked
If
her
you're
in
gonna
the head. Yep.
listen,
Yep.
don't do it in the house, people. I mean, you know, that's just it don't
Stop.
make no sense.
It's crazy.
And then they always want to complain about the man. They say the man is no good. He
Right.
ain't shit. He ain't this and he ain't that. But the only thing that I can say, if that's the case, then why on More Reported show it was always you are not the father.
Right.
You are not the father. And
Right.
then look
Good
at
point.
most of them had to come in there like 9 and 10 times, still didn't figure out who the damn baby daddy is. You know, so you can't just say men are no good when you doing the same thing or you even worse.
One thing you don't do is play with a man, because you never know what is going to make that man crash out. Because once a man crashes out on you, you don't know if you're going to live or die. And that's one, men can only take so much. And that's why I said men need for that. I actually represented, you know, all these men during Me Too movement, because men need protection. I know I have girlfriends, or used to have girlfriends, that would set up different basketball players. One girl worked at the hotel desk, would give another one of our friends the key to an athlete's room. Like, it was a plot. Women plot on men. It's not, and it's as old as, you know, Samson and Delilah. So it's like, look, you know, we gotta, you know, respect men out here.
Absolutely, I
Agree.
agree. And you know, protect yourself when if you're gonna do some dumb shit, protect yourself, you know? And it's just ridiculous the things you see on social media in today's world.
I do want to call out the
dumb shit.
guy for doing it away from the children. Like, I guarantee that's not something she would have done if the roles were reversed. She would have happily probably done it in front of the children to show off and show out.
Right.
So she could come and say your daddy ain't shit.
Mhm.
You know, that's
Look,
why we're not together. It's always your daddy. And then all of a sudden they start hating the father. Then they want to work on turning the kids against the father. And that's
then the
not
kids
right.
turn gay.
We see that again and again and again all the time. But you didn't hate the man that much when you was on top riding it. You
Right.
didn't hate him, you know. So so I mean that's the truth. They weren't hating each other when they were doing what they was doing, right? So
Exactly.
why now you have the kids? You just work on just teaching the kids your dad is no good, he's ugly, I hate him, and all of this. You know, they need to stop it. That's the reason why so many fathers are not in these homes today. That's the reason. And stop taking that shit out on them kids, because it's not the kids' fault. It's not
Imagine
the
being
kids'
told
fault.
that half of who you are isn't good, that you're trash. Like, that's literally what they're telling these children, is that the other half of them is garbage.
Yep. And
In
so
Well, it's
some
pretty
cases,
funny.
they
Me,
say the kids are garbage. Because some of them, you know, the child that's going to catch the hell is the child that looks like the father. So when that father leaves, you look like your daddy, your ass is grass. Because I know I favor my daddy. My mama hated my father. So when he left, my ass was grass. I caught it every day. So I know how that shit works. Okay. When you look like your daddy, you going to catch it. It's just a wrap. They going to make every day of your life as miserable as they possibly can because they hate the man just that much. But it's not good, because when your child grow up, then how are they going to feel about you after you done treated them like shit for years and years and years? You know?
they
I
turn.
mean, it's funny. Me and a friend of mine was talking yesterday, and he's a coach back in Virginia, and you know we've coached together before. We've coached in inner city. We've coached in you know outside the inner city, and you know predominantly white schools and things like that. And right now he's at a predominantly white school, you know. But and he told me yesterday. He said, "Man, you know what's funny?" He said, "You know, a lot of these dudes' fathers, they live with their father. They don't even live with their mother. You know, and these are white basically white kids. And he said, in Norfolk it's different. I said, yes, it's different because a lot of those people understand that the man can raise the son a little better, than a mother. Whereas down in the inner city, we have these single moms, that want to, take the kid away from the dad, and just like you all discussed, tell the kid the father ain't shit, won't let the father be, in the kids' lives and things like that. I said that's one of the differences, between white and black when they get divorced. They agree that okay, I think you need to be with your father because he can raise a man better than I can. And they do it that way. It's the complete opposite. And you guys you ladies touched on a few of the reasons why that is, and it's a little sad, because I do believe if the dad is not raising the kid, he definitely needs to be in his life a lot, every day, if not every week, and I think you definitely need to be there every day, and need to still be in their lives, and the mother should not try to keep these young men away from their fathers, because that's when they turn violent, that's when they turn females.
They don't want the kids having no contacts with the father at all, and they would do anything within their power to keep it, keep that separation there, and try to make the kids actually hate the fathers. We coming up to Father's Day, somebody just need to reach out to their dad that's a grown ass person and believe all the dumb shit their mama fill their head up with. Somebody need to move past that and go and try to have a relationship with your father while he is still living. And that's the truth about it. It's a lot of black fathers not in their kids' life, but a lot of times it's not because they wanted it that way. It's just because of the circumstances. Okay. So if the circumstances cause that, still reach out and reconnect. Try to repair and rebuild that relationship. Life is short, life is short. Tomorrow is not promised to anybody. So while you have a chance, make that shit happen. Don't allow nobody to feed you a whole bunch of bullshit because of their anger and hostility. And a lot of times, these women that sit back and try to fool their kids, man, and fill their mind up with that hate and anger and hostility, a lot of them are some old miserable bitches. And that's just the truth about that shit. They some old, miserable, angry fucking bitches. That's what they are. That's what they are. And no kid deserves to get treated a certain way because you hate the fucking father. And I'm going to say it again. You didn't hate him when y'all was bagging that ass up, riding it out, dropping it like it's hot. Y'all didn't hate each other then. So get over that shit. Make that shit the best for those kids. Because kids deserve that. They deserve both parents. They don't deserve that anger, hate, and hostility. But the kids, you got to put those kids first and help them live a great life and become a very prosperous adult without instilling all that bitterness and anger into the child. And that's part of the problem that we see right now with all these people that's acting out in the damn streets. They go to Popeyes, order a damn drink. Oh, you ain't got what the fuck I want? Well, guess what I'm getting ready to do? So they go tear up the people place. All of that is just stemming from a lot of hurt, bitterness, anger, resentment, and all of that. Pressure breaks pipes. And I'm not condoning that bullshit. Before you even say anything, Travia, I'm not condoning that shit. Because I don't think they should be in them people stores tearing their shit up. So hell no, I don't condone that. I don't condone it. I just think that, they just need to find a place where they can make peace with the situations in their life and stop allowing stupid shit to take place, because once you start doing that type of stuff and you start building up those cases, you got those kids. Who the fuck are going to raise your kids? Because you're not going to be there because your dumb ass going to jail for the dumb shit. So only thing I'm saying is think twice about the decision that you're making, that you want to make before you do that. Think twice.
I mean, but sometimes, you know, the parents can just be toxic. And I think kids are, if you're at the certain point where you understand that you can't handle what your parents are dishing out, because your parents can hurt you quicker than the people on the street. So it's serious when, you know, I really feel like you should have the choice to divorce your parents if it is that they are hurting you more than they are helping you. Because sometimes just because it's your blood, it doesn't mean that they're going to nurture you and take care of you and keep you safe. So I have seen many situations where you just become a better person once you get away from your parents. And I think people need to consider, like, sometimes just like your friends or people that you have in your life that were once upon a time good to you and then turned into something else, you have the right to divorce that. And I feel the same about people and their parents.
Yeah, because environment is everything. Environment is everything. Facts.
I think one thing I want to add to that is like just the whole concept is I think men should use the tools at their disposal a little bit better than they currently do. Like if they're ordered to pay child support and the mother is withholding, you know, you seeing the child, go to court and get that. Like do the work, because it's going to show out when your kids grow up that you tried. Like you made an effort. You weren't the deadbeat. It was the mother who prevented you from doing this. Like you have a right to see your children. And I think people just don't want to deal with the woman. They're like, I don't want to deal with her. I don't want to deal with her. But it's not about her. It's not about you. It's about them.
Kim Kardashian. Damn it. Let them see his kids.
Let him see them kids, Kim. Let Kanye see them damn kids. Okay, let me see it. Because North gonna tear that house up.
Burn it down, North. Burn it down. Cut up the couches, spray paint the walls, burn her clothes. Do it until she lets you see your daddy.
North could hire her own lawyer.
I know, right?
Right. She can.
Right. So
she can.
I think we have one more clip. I'm pretty sure there's a Black Lives Matter clip.
Gee. Yoo-hoo. Oh, God.
Of course, I believe that all lives matter, but right now, Black lives are the ones under attack. I'm a pastor. Of course, I take seriously God's command to welcome those who are foreigners in your land, because you too are once strangers in a strange land. I'm a pastor. Of course, I believe in the separation of church and state, which means theology never gets codified into law. I'm a pastor. Of course, I believe in healing brokenness, but you will never hear about shame, judgment, or even sin at this church. I'm a pastor. Of course, I believe that all lives are sacred, which means that women and those who can bear children should make the decisions that they, their doctor, their family, and their God believes is best for them. I'm a pastor. Of course, I believe in the salvific nature of the cross, but it was because Jesus non-violently stood up to empire and refused to fight back or back down, not because some immature, unhealthy parent of a God required blood and guts. I'm a pastor. Of course, I believe we should be exactly as God designed us to be, which means that queer lives are worthy, divine, beloved, and acceptable exactly as they are. No exceptions.
I mean, there's no reason to go to church anymore, because if this is what you're going to walk into, and
especially not that one.
It's just, you just don't know what you're going to get anymore. You, like, literally went into a Black church. Here comes the woman that he is cheating on his wife with, putting him on blast in the church. You know, it's like and
that happens a lot.
You know, and I went, you know, when I was younger, I thought I was going to join the Nation of Islam, and they separate the women from the men. And then the pastor tried hitting on me, and I was 16. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with all of you. None of you have any, there's no sanctity in the church anymore. I remember when my grandmother went to church, you know, you just couldn't do certain things. And I used to direct the children's choir. And that was the only time I saw my grandmother cry, is when we sang the song One Day at a Time. And you have a whole,
Yes.
you know, and you have a holy
Oh, yes.
to where if you robbed a bank and you came into her house with $6 million and you were hiding in the closet and the police were at the door, she gonna say she's right in there. She's not gonna put a link on her chain for anybody. But those holy people, I'm still looking for them, because, you know, I just haven't seen it, especially not in a religious establishment. You got the Pope from Chicago, who overlooked so many child molestation cases in Chicago, and now he's the Pope. He got Black, Caribbean, Haitian parents, but he don't identify as anything. What does he identify as you know, other than the Pope now? Because Black people in Chicago, yeah, we got a Black Pope, we got a Black Pope. This man said he is not a drop Black. So, but also they know his history, and I was like, there was an actual Black man who was supposedly in the running to be Pope, but he was way too conservative. This one we have, you know, he's going to let all the molestation happen, because he definitely did it in Chicago. So the Vatican is going to be a free-for-all.
I would be real. If I walked in a church and I saw a gay pastor, I'd turn around and walk out. But like that right there, like I don't have to. The entire video was insane, but like just from the start, I knew it was gonna be insane. But like to iterate on like one thing exactly that like I think like a lot of people like her especially get wrong is separation of church and state. Like that's the title of the amendment. The actual amendment says the government shall pass no laws infringing on the practice of organized religion. I probably worded a few words there, but like, wrong. But regardless, like it doesn't mean that you can't push political agenda, however you want to say it, push your your beliefs within the government based on your religion. That's not like what it is. And like if she wants to practice that crazy version of Christianity, she's free to in our country. But like you know, like let's just keep it what it is. It's a crazy version of Christianity. Like that's not a real church.
So I believe, isn't it because they are a 501c3 or whatever? I think they're not allowed to be political at the pulpit. It's my understanding that they're not. If they want to claim that status, they're not allowed to be activists.
You can put forward for ideas, but not candidates.
Because all the candidates come to the Black churches. You know, you're not separating church and state there, because all of the candidates come to the Black churches because they need to pitch the Black vote, and the Black church is the easy win. So there's been no such thing in politics or in the church dividing anything, because they're all up in there pitching, you know, paying off the pastor to make sure that the pastor tells everybody to get out and vote for them after they leave, so they don't have to just say it out of their mouth and, you know, mess up their status. But yeah, it's a sad situation. That's why I don't go to church.
Yeah, facts. I mean, it's just so many things wrong on so many different levels in that clip, man. You know, I mean, first of all, you know, I'm of the belief that there should not be any women pastors anyway. There, you know, women should not be in the pulpit, because that there were no women disciples, and that's not what God put forth anyway. Because women are supposed to be helpmeets to men. I mean, and then there's the blasphemy of being gay, LGBTQ. You get all the symbolism, you know, and that, I mean, it's just, I mean, that was just awful. That just made me sick to my stomach just to sit here and watch that bullshit. You know, to be honest, I'm just totally disgusted, you know, just watching that clip, because, you know, we have, you know, people like that are, you know, like I say, being protected by their 501c3 status and shit. I mean, and you know, and that's from the government too. You know, the government gives them that tax exempt status, and when they do that, they can control the churches. Because I remember I didn't go to a church, and I wasn't a member of this church, but I was going because a friend of mine was the pastor, and I know, you know, what he preached, and you know, and he preached straight from the Bible. However, I had to stop going to his church because when Biden was in, they passed the law, you know, about that if you were on tax exempt status, you can no longer preach against homosexuality. You could no longer preach against, you know, transgender, and they had to remove all of that stuff from their literature. You know, I'm like, dude, I mean, why? I mean, why are you, you know, buying into this? Why are you allowing them to do that. I mean, just don't take the fucking money. You know, just release your 501(c) status, however, but it's a lot of money, And I'm like, dude, hey, I just can't come back after this. I mean, you really, removed all of that, and that's what has happened to the church. The church is part of the problem. The church is part of the problem. They're part of, what's going on, what's wrong with this nation and the world as well, because you talk about the Pope too. I made a comment about the last Pope, and I got viciously attacked, but that's okay because I'm built for that. And now, like you say, this Pope has let all of these, spotlight, I call them spotlights because if you watch the movie Spotlight, all these bishops that was molesting these kids in these movies, the big case in Massachusetts, and they just move them from parish to parish. They don't punish them, they just move them around, and I mean, it's just so many things wrong. So like I say, I don't go to church either. I'm not a member of a church. I'm religious. I can read the Bible for myself. My dad was I grew up in church. My dad was a deacon, a big time deacon in the church. So I grew up in church, but he also told me that just remember this, church is not in the building. Church is in between you and God. Church is in the soul. So don't ever, think that you have to be in a building to receive the word from God, because like now you go up in the building now, that shit might get struck by lightning, because you don't know what's going on in there. You get in there and be like, are you kidding me? Well, so I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm with you, Trayvon. I don't do church no more. Seriously.
That's that they just showed. She looked like she needed to be in a wrestling ring, somewhere out riding a Harley Davis. That's what she looked like, and she
It's
looked
so easy to deceive people from the pulpit because people are looking, I guess some people are looking for an answer. Some people are looking, to God. I'm like, but if you're looking to God and you're there, then you're in the wrong place.
They're looking for their behavior to be excused and accepted. So that's why it's so welcome. Like other churches aren't going to do that. Like, so that's why.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, God is.
It's a verse in the Bible when God said that, when they come before him and he's going to say, depart from me, you evildoer. I never knew you, and he's talking about pastors and that type of thing. And the thing is now that when, so many things have taken place, but the church never rose to fight against the evilness and the injustices of this world when it comes to kids, and it was a lot of things going on that they just didn't fight against. And it was like, okay, where's the church? Even with the lady that took prayer out of the school, how was she able to do that? Like basically by herself. How was she able to take it out, but ain't nobody been able to put it back in? Right. How the hell did that happen? And everything else about the kids, when it came to fighting for the kids, when it came to fighting against Planned Parenthood and the rest of it, nobody stood up. It was just certain things that they never even mentioned. Nobody fought against. It was very few pastors that fought against. It was something that took place. And I was just amazed that very few, those sexual books that they was in about kids having sex and all of those little sexual books that they took out of the library. They didn't have a damn thing to say about that.
Well, I mean, you have to look at it during COVID. They shut down all the churches thinking that they were going to stop, worship and prayer. But what you don't realize, the church is not God. God is not in the church. God is in the people. So they could have shut all the churches they wanted down. But these are the things that, you 10 people get to go to a funeral. Nobody fought back against any. And so I just picked up and went to Belize because I'm like, y'all can have that crazy shit.
Remember, it wasn't 4 feet social distancing. It wasn't 8 feet. It wasn't. It was 6. Why 6? Like it's just it's arbitrary, and it's obvious to most anybody after a certain period of time. They're just going along with it along the way.
Yep.
And this was the thing, all of that applied to us, but it did not apply to them because you saw congressional people flying their family off on vacation. Obama throwed a big ass fucking birthday party. So they still had their thing going on. So, I mean, if you did any type of like common sense thinking, then something should have said, okay, if this shit's so bad, why the fuck Obama over there throwing a whole big ass birthday party? You didn't see nobody in that bitch with no mask on.
Gavin
Okay?
Newsom did the same thing
Nobody
in
wore no
California.
damn mask. So why
Yeah.
is it that that shit only applied to the people, but it never applied to the people in Congress?
Don't forget about Summer of Love, guys. They could go out and protest and do that too. All close proximity, and it was all fine and dandy.
Yep, all protesters was okay. They ain't say shit to them. Black Lives Matter burnt down every fucking thing they thought they want to burn down.
Yep.
Nobody said shit. They protest, they march, they went together to steal all the shit out of all those stores, whether it was a clothing store, a Nike store, whatever. They went in there in groups, ran out in groups. Nobody said shit to them about any of that. So why did all the rules apply to the regular people, but nothing applied to these militant groups, people, and definitely not Congress?
Well, bottom line, it was all about control anyway. It was all about who can we control and who can't we control. You know, and those people that, you know, we're whoever are pure bloods. I'm pure blood. You know, I never wore a mask. I was on United's, you know, bad boy no fly list because I wouldn't wear my mask on a plane. You know, I couldn't even check in online anymore. I had to check in at a gate if I was flying United. I had to check in at the gate, and security would come and ask me, do you promise to keep your mask on, you know, when you go on the plane or whatever, right? You know, so I had to stop flying United for a while, even though their rules allowed me to because I have a medical condition and
Well,
I
Spirit probably
printed
would
off,
have let you
you know,
on.
yeah, Spirit, right? I mean, you know, so it was all about those who control, and they know, you know, unfortunately, we're all in a database. They know if shit hits the fan and it's the people against the government, who they're going to come after first, who are the uncontrollables, you know, and you know, I think that was a big part of it, you know, other than mass you know, death, basically, you know, mass death and population control. I believe that was part of it, and call me conspiracy theorist, whatever you want. I think I'm being proved right, though, you know, with all the everything that's coming out now, all the turbo cancers and all the diseases and shit, you know, going on now, people dying, you know, those people that took those jabs are dying, you know, so, you know, I think that was a huge part of it, and people, you know, some people still want to deny it, some people still, you know, are in denial about it, you know, and they still want to hate, but you know, it is what it is. And so
and this the thing, you had doctors that supported it, and you had doctors that did not support it at all, because a lot of doctors was like, no, don't take it. So why is it that certain groups of people was just like, oh, I gotta take the shot. If I don't take the shot, I'm gonna die. Motherfucker, you gonna die any goddamn way. That shot wasn't gonna save your damn life.
Didn't Jay Bhattacharya speak out about that? Like, oh, and he was banned from X, right? Like, if I remember correctly.
Who?
Jay Bhattacharya, he's working.
Yeah.
I think that he was banned for speaking out against it. Like, and I don't even think he was like against it. I think he was just questioning it, and then it spiraled. So I'm glad he's in control of our health now.
Well, Laverne, I think we're out of clips.
Okay.
Your name was on X. It was Spangled.
Star Spangled Shimmer.
Star Spangled Shimmer. And I was actually on Sheldon Daniels' page telling him, you know, with whatever he's going through, come on to the Hood Conservative so we can put the fire out on whatever's happening with you. And she jumped in and she was like, this sounds interesting. This sounds fun. Can I come in? Like, you sure can. I sent her the link. So, I mean, you are awesome. You came in, you held your own, you had a lot to say. And we want people to come on the Hood Conservative that have an opinion and that have information that people should know or that they want to share. Because it was a pleasure having you on today. Thank you so much for jumping in there.
Thank you.
And
that includes you too, Nora and Miss Amarosa.
Yes.
Anytime you would like to come on, please just inbox me and let me know.
Yes. So do you want to do closing remarks, Laverne?
You could do it. Go ahead, Travis.
She's like, you can do it. Well, thank you all for coming on today. As usual, it's always a good time here on The Hood Conservative, the #1 Black podcast on X. This is Laverne Spicer.
Y'all see my shirt? Thou should not try me.
Hey,
Move
Benji.
24/7.
There's white folks in it. You see, look, we got Starker Spangled Shimmer on. So do you guys
There's white folks in the hood too. That's what Benji said.
Right? So Sparkle Shimmer, do you want to give your closing words? Tell people where they can find you on X so they can follow you as well.
Sure. I'm just kind of new to like speaking out. I've become really passionate about the area in Dallas where I'm going to be raising my family. So that's why I just was like, call to action. I want to get involved. I have some pretty nuanced takes from time to time, but you can find me at Spangled Shimmer on X. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Jerome?
Spangled Shimmer right there in the house.
What is that? Spangled Shimmer?
Y'all
All right.
follow Spangled Shimmer.
Spangled Shimmer. All right, I got to follow. Yeah, hey, thanks for having me again. As always, I love being in the hood and the Hood Conservative Show. You can follow me on X. I'm at the J Black Mamba, and I do my show every Sunday night, the Radical Republicans live show, and you'll catch Travion on there at times. You catch Laverne on there at times, and some other hot females and guys too. So check out the show. It's every Sunday night, unless I'm on vacation or taking the night off. But it's on Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it runs for about 2 hours. So come and check out the show. And we do it live. We're unedited, unscripted, uncensored, unfiltered, all that good stuff that you get here. I don't even have a printer advisory explicit content notice on my show. We just roll and we just go whichever way the wind and whichever way we want to take the show. And also you in the audience, we take the show your way too with your comments. So come check out the show Sunday nights, the Radical Republicans live show. It's on every podcast station. It's on X, it's on Getter, it's on Facebook, YouTube, Cloud Hub, all over the place. Come check it out.
Andrew?
Thanks for having me, guys. This is always a fun podcast to come on. Definitely come back whenever you guys will have me and give you all the market updates. Make sure you guys follow me on X at Close Some Sales. There it is right there. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've got my my trading podcast that goes down on X Spaces. Probably going to add some shows to the lineup. And then you might want to turn noties on for me today. And probably in the next 1 to 2 hours, there's an AI token that's a meme token that's launching. I think it's going to pump. I'm grabbing it. So I'll share it with everybody that follows me from Hood Conservatives. And everybody here, I'll DM you guys and make sure you guys get in a few minutes or extra early.
I'm ready. I'm going to be paying attention.
Go ahead.
Put the notifications on. So my name is Trevian Cutie again. Laverne, thank you for allowing me to co-host. You can find me on X at Free Trevian, and on all other socials, it's Trevian Cutie.
Okay. Y'all make sure y'all follow everybody that's on the show, hoodies. And I see there's a lot of people in the room, but they didn't leave any comments. But y'all feel free to leave the comments. You know, that's what we want to talk to you all. I love talking to people. As long as you're courteous and you're nice, you know, we're going to have the lovely, 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 and no fireworks. Okay. So I think I want to say thank you to everybody for joining on the show today for the Hood Conservative Podcast. And I'm glad you tuned in. Y'all know we are right here on X every Thursday at 3. And so just join us right here. We also on Rumble. And Travian is on Instagram.
Yes.
I'm on Instagram, but I don't do nothing on Instagram.
I don't
and
say anything. Like, Meta is the worst. Like, X is definitely the best platform because you can say what you feel like you want to say.
Yes.
On Meta,
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram, they want to take your content down. I'm like, nobody's a slave to Meta anymore. So
Right.
Rumble,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. So anyway, peace out, hoodies. We will see y'all next week right here on the Hood Conservative Podcast. Also, I did some footage. I want to thank Don Luca for coming out to the food bank today, and he's going to have some footage up later on his page, and I'm going to retweet it on my page. So y'all stay posted for the latest on that. So y'all have a blessed day. I hope everything goes well for everybody. See y'all next week, same place, same time. Thank you for joining us.
Peace. Later, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Laverne Spicer, and I'm asking for your support today. Thousands of Americans struggle to get food, and they wonder where their next meal is going to come from. But I'm here, been working with them for over 25 years to provide food to people that need it the most, right here at our community food bank. So today, I'm asking you for your support. Please provide a contribution to help make a real difference in our community and to help us feed people. And you can do it right here. Donate today on Cash App, and you will see the link above.